Hi, I'm Caroline, and I've created a lot of things, but mostly I've created a life I love. Join me on my journey as a podcaster, business owner, and mom as I try to create all the things. Welcome to the Caroline Creates podcast.
Hello, everybody. I am coming to you directly from my laptop, recording with a new microphone. It is one of those fancy lapel microphones, and I got it last year for Christmas, and I'm literally just now breaking it out. So I am traveling while I'm recording this, and so I thought it would be kind of fun to try it out, and so we'll see how it goes in the editing process for sure. So today I wanted to dive into something that I've been kind of talking about on Instagram this week. And also it's just been kind of on my heart a little bit. And that is, how do we start sharing our stories? So I really feel that a podcast is so much more than a podcast. I think it is a place for us to connect with people on a different level and to also really, kind of share who we are and how we got to where we are and connect with people. And that's why people listen to podcasts, especially, I think, business podcasts. I think podcasts about specific topics. People are trying to connect, to learn, to grow, and they want to hear from other people who've been there, who've walked the walk, so to speak. But I think a lot of times when we start our podcasts, we come at it from a very we're going to teach everybody and it's going to be amazing. And we're going to share all this wisdom and knowledge that we have. And everybody's going to want to, come to our website and sign up for a newsletter and buy our stuff. And, sometimes it doesn't really happen that way. And I think the reason is a lot of times is we don't form a genuine connection with our listeners. And how can we form that genuine connection? Well, one of the ways we can do that is by sharing our story. Now, sharing your story is really hard. It can make you feel very vulnerable. So I thought we would kind of talk about what that means and some ways that we can start to do that. First of all, I want to say that sharing your story does not mean that you have to have some crazy, epic, novel-worthy plot line to your life. What I'm saying is that, people want to know how you got from point A to point B and what happened in the middle. And it can be something as big as, I put my head down and I worked really hard every day and this is how I did it, to, something monumental happened in my life and that caused me to do this. I don't think you have to have like a tragedy or an epic romance or, this huge catalyst that brought you to where you are. I think sometimes it's those little things in between that really make the difference and really help us to connect with people. I know that for me personally, sharing my story was not something I wanted to do. Now, I did kind of I have some bigger stories in my life that I'll definitely go into another time. But as far as starting our podcast, we had started this podcast for product-based businesses, and kind of right around the time that happened, my product-based business was failing miserably. There was a lot of things that had gone wrong, a lot of bad decisions I had made. Some not bad decisions, just decisions I had made that kind of led me to a point of being in kind of financial trouble. So when we started the podcast, I did not want to share this information and I kept it all to myself. I never shared it. And after a while, I kind of started to feel a little bit like a fraud because I felt like I wasn't being authentic. I felt like I was kind of putting on this mask of, oh, this is so fun and having a product-based business is amazing and I love it. It's so wonderful. When in all actuality, I was kind of, regretting it and going through this hard time. And it was pretty awful. So after some time, I developed the courage. I decided, hey, I'm going to do this. I want to tell what's really going on behind the scenes. And we did an episode about shifting in your business. And I've actually talked about this before on the podcast. And it was the first time I shared that story. So I was really nervous of the reaction because I didn't want people to think that, oh my God, why am I listening to this? Like, she doesn't know anything. Look at her. She's a failure. She doesn't know anything. I'm not going to take any advice from her. That's what I thought was going to happen. But what actually happened was people were really excited to hear me tell the honest truth. They were excited to hear me be authentic. They were excited to hear that, you know what, hey, it doesn't work for everybody, and that's okay. And I got a lot of messages of people who thanked me for sharing my story. Now, I think that like set me free in a way because I approach the podcast in a very different way. I definitely kind of come at it from a, well, this is what I did and it doesn't necessarily work, but this is what you should do kind of, perspective. And well, not should do. We never say what anybody should do, but it really shifted my mindset on how I shared the information that I was sharing. And it also kind of made me realize that I did have something, to offer. And I've talked about this before in past episodes. It really helped me kind of find my voice. So how can we start to share our stories on our podcast? Now, a lot of my clients and my Instagram peeps and my listeners are business owners who want to have a podcast as an extension of their business. They want to use it as a marketing tool. They want to use it as a piece of how they reach potential clients, potential customers, that kind of thing. So, we want to kind of interject little pieces of our story into what we share on the podcast. And this may mean, yes, sharing our failures. This may mean sharing our big wins. This may mean sharing that, hey, I don't really know anything about this topic, but this is how I'm going to help you learn something about it and how I'm going to learn something about it. It means being authentic. So what I want you to do is kind of think about the next podcast topic that you're going to have, the next podcast topic that you're going to record. What are you going to talk about? But I want you to think about something from your life that you can share that relates to this. I want you to become more than a podcast episode to your listeners. I want you to become a person that they can connect with, a person that they can relate with, a person that they want to follow on Instagram. You know what I mean? Take it to the next level and don't be afraid to share your story. As I said before, I think a lot of times the fear is that if you share your story, people will see you in a different light, in a negative light. And a lot of times people see you in a positive light. There is one aspect of sharing a story that I think is kind of important to talk about a little bit, and that is maintaining our privacy, right? Maintaining aspects of our life that are just for us. I kind of had this epiphany a while back that I had never asked my husband for permission to share the names of our children on our podcast episodes. And it kind of got me thinking, because I was like, I'm not really worried about them. I don't really post a lot of pictures of my family. I'm not handing out my address and that kind of thing. But I hadn't really given any thought to, the fact that, hey, about 1,000 people listen to us per episode. Perhaps I should maybe not share every sort of detail of my life, including my children's names. And after kind of discussing this with my husband, we kind of agreed that, we would maybe prefer that I use their nicknames or, that kind of thing. So you don't have to share everything. You don't have to be an open book. There are definitely pieces of my life and my story that I haven't really shared. I don't know if I'm ready to share. I don't know how I want to share them. And so I'm not necessarily going to share them right now, and that's okay. But I am able to kind of find these little bits and pieces that I do want to share. And I only share them when I'm ready to share them and when I'm ready for whatever consequences of sharing them may be. So this isn't me telling you that you have to tell everybody everything about yourself. I want you to to find little things that you can interject and that you can share. I posted this thing the other day on Instagram, and I'm actually going to find it right now as I'm recording this. I said, connect by speaking your story and your truth, by speaking your story and your truth. So you want to make sure that when you are recording these podcast episodes that you are speaking your truth, that you are saying what is truthful, what is coming from your experience, what is coming from your knowledge, from your wisdom. You don't want to be sharing other people's stories. People want to connect with you. Even when you do an interview with somebody, you want to have your story be part of the greater story that the two of you are telling. And it does take a little courage. It does take a little time to get used to doing it. But if you can start with some little things. Okay, so I'm going to give you an example because I keep talking about, some little things. So let's say that you are an artist and you have a podcast about, about the business of creating art. Okay, this is so similar to what I do, but I'm just going to go with it. And, you never really talk about your work schedule. Let's say that you have a full-time job and you do your art on the side, but you have never mentioned that on your podcast. And so you decide, you know what, I'm going to do an episode all about how to get things done and how to be an efficient creator of art when you're running a business. And so during this episode, you not only talk about that topic, but then you say, let me tell you, I actually work full-time on top of creating my art, and this is how I get it done. And then all of a sudden, you've got a whole different group of listeners who are like, oh my gosh, I work full-time too. I totally connect with this. I'm so glad she shared that. I want to listen some more. It's just this little tidbit, this little part of my greater story that, it's almost like dropping breadcrumbs, leading people to the big cookie. You want to interject things that are going to pull your listeners in and have them connect with you so that they keep coming back for more. I feel like I'm probably rambling at this point. And like I said, I've been out of town and it's almost midnight, and I just watched the most incredible movie on Netflix, and I feel like everybody should watch it. It's the Gurney something potato peel pie society, and I want everybody to go watch it because it's amazing. And there's one of the major themes of the movie is this author trying to find out the story of these people. Like, she can tell that there's something under the surface, and as she dives deeper and deeper and deeper into their story, she falls more and more and more in love with these people. And I think podcasting is kind of the same way. I think we start at this surface level of what we're doing, what our podcast is about. And as we go deeper and deeper and deeper, and we start to share more of our story with our listeners, they start to fall more and more in love with us. Don't be afraid to share your story. Make it a part of what you do. Make it a part of your podcast, and people will connect with you, and they will want to come back for more. Recently, I did a survey, and after I did the survey, I was reading through my notes, reading through the results, and one of the things that really struck me was how people really struggle with confidence and having confidence as a podcaster. And I've been talking about this a lot. I've been talking about finding your voice, sharing your story, all these things. And the reason is because I realize that this is such a pain point for people with podcasting. So to help with that, I have created a free course called Find Your Voice and Confidence as a Podcaster. And I'd really love for you to check it out if you feel like you need a boost, you need a pep talk, you need a kick in the pants to really record from the heart and record a meaningful podcast and find your voice. So you can go and grab that at my website, carolinecreates.com. And I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for listening.
Before you go, please head to Apple Podcasts and leave me a review. I would love to hear from you. And to learn more about me and follow along my journey, head to www.carolinecreates.com. There you can also listen to episodes, watch YouTube videos, and find out more about my podcasting services. Thanks so much. Have a great day.